Right, so welcome to another episode of Heartbreak Garage, and we are now not far off going racing. So last time we cut the bike up, we re-welded it, and now you're going to see the finished product of our efforts. There's no panels on the bike yet, it's just all the framework. I've got to do the wiring in this episode and get the airbox, the new carburetor and the battery and everything all mocked up so I know it's going to work. So that's what I'm going to do. So if it don't fit, don't force it, and let's make this a race bike. We're going to race that. So Hands-On Research is sponsoring us, and they provide regulatory expertise in medical devices, especially clinical evaluations. So that's what they do, and they're helping Heartbreak Garage have an even better Freetech season. And with that all done, it's off to the shed to make this bike what it needs to be. Fonzie and myself, mainly, they stayed late the other night because I had stuff to do with the family, but they have done this. We've added a lip on the back, drilled some holes. I'm going to make those holes bigger, it's only support. And that's what we've got going on. It's all fabricated up, it's all looking lovely. So the new seat, the new rear tail, what we're going to call it, that's the subframe, and then the tail unit fits over that, and then we need to get a seat on the top of that because we've got some big gaps going on. But first I need to get the airbox and everything else in so we can finish off the wiring, so I know that's going to be perfect. So we're going to get the carburetor in, get the airbox in, figure out what we're going to do with the breather system and water pipes and stuff, and then take it from there. So here we go. The carb fits up snugly with the engine with the original boot that fits them on, so I'm happy about that. So now we'll get the airbox, which is here hiding on the floor. So we'll get that and we'll get that fitted. The standard airbox fitting, and I'm going to run a standard airbox. We can see that where the cable comes out of it is interfering with this, and then that's where our voltage reg's going, and that's interfering with it as well. We won't be able to get a plug on there, so we're going to lose this portion of the air filter, which doesn't need to be there anyway, and we're going to get rid of that, and then that'll leave us sufficient room to do what we need to do. Right, so the airbox is back off, and this is the item in question, and I believe it's the only function it serves is some kind of drizzle guard, so when the water runs down off the bike, it's this thing stops it dribbling all over everything and getting water in there. But we don't need that, so we're going to lose that, and hopefully it'll fit perfectly. But plastic is this old saw that's in Roy's shed. It's really good at doing the business, better than anything else, so that's what we're going to use, and we'll get it done. Get here, you. Right. We'll just I'm going to have to take the lid off, otherwise I'm going to cut it in half. Right. Oh yeah. So that's what we're doing here. Now I know it may look a bit rough and ruthless, but this is definitely how Formula 1 does it. Bit of fettling, grind it out. Right, that looks factory, so we're going to try it in the bike. The carburetor is now mounted, and I've got loads of access for gizmos here and here for throttle and charging. And then, but then it doesn't quite line up here. Get in focus, you see there. I've pushed it on and they're not quite like, so I'm going to slot these and use some big washers to hold it in position, and I think that'll be more than sufficient. So yeah, let's get it slotted out. So what you'll need to do this operation is all the PPE you've got, and what you'll do is hold it very tight and make sure you're wearing your safety glasses and your gloves. And there we go. So now we've slotted them out, and we'll use some big hunking washers on there. So this was the original battery box, which I cut off what was left of the original rear end, which is over there. It goes underneath the factory subframe in this area. So I'm going to try and utilise that, but now because we've narrowed it and reworked it, it's too wide. So I'm going to cut this off the side of it, because I'm remounting where the starter motor solenoid goes, or the relay, or whatever you want to call it, solenoid really, and that's going to live in here inside the frame. So all the essential wiring for the bike will be inside the frame. So you could smash all the plastics off and destroy everything and she would still keep on running, because everything essential is inside the cocoon of the frame and protected, and that's my plan, to make it even more reliable and keep the wiring loom as basic as possible. And then when we're going to need a rain light and a headlight, but I'm going to make a separate sub loom for that, so it's nothing to do with the engine loom. It runs totally independently. Hours, well not hours, minutes chopping this thing to see if it works. I've decided it's not going to work. So this is our super lightweight battery, so I considered it could go there inside the frame, but then I offered up the fuel tank and realised the petcock valve's got to go there. So I was thinking about here, right under the seat, but I reckon the back tyre is going to catch it with my fat ass on it under a lot of compression. So, alright Roy, I'm thinking it's got to go here somewhere inside the rear seat unit with a bit of protection, because I can't get it to go anywhere else because everything's so tightly packed. So that's the plan. I'm going to try and set it up and see how it goes. It's Saturday, exactly a week today we will be racing the bike. And it's
all you racing fans,
for all the racing fans. And it's still not wired, there's no cooling system, there's no exhaust system, there's no carburetor, there's no controls on the thing hooked up. We have managed to mount the battery here, which I quite like. So Fonzie's fabricated a battery cradle with a clamp that goes there that holds it beautifully, and we put some, welded some things on the axles to make it easier to get the wheels on and off. So now we just need to wire it, plumb it, put carburation on it, fuel it, get all the panel work back on it, bleed the brakes, make it work, change the gearing, test it, find out it doesn't work, fix it, test it again, get to Teesside and go racing. So that's the plan for today, Fonz.
Sounds good.
So now, today I have to have it wired, carburetor on, everything on, and the cooling system sorted. And then tomorrow I need to get fuel in it, get it running, and do the exhaust. Mint. If it don't fit, don't force it. So we've got Roy now. I've got a can of Coke somewhere. Fonzie's still here, he came to brush the floor, and I've just constructed this this wire here that is going to go from the battery to the starter solenoid over here. Oh, there's my can there. So it's going to go from our battery here down, under, up, in along the side of the frame to the solenoid, and then when you hit the start button there, it'll send the signal to there to activate that to send all the juice down here through there and party at the starter motor and start the bike. So that's the plan. So I'm going to put some protective sheathing on this like I've done on that, and then we'll be good. And that'll be that. So yeah. So
don't forget to mention the merch, guys.
Yeah, I've got merch coming, and we've got merch coming, and I'll show you the merch at the end of the video, and you can like and subscribe and get some merch, and that'll help me out basically. After a little bit of swearing and messing about, I've managed to reduce the CBR wiring loom to this. So we've got the wires coming out the engine from our generator, if you want to call it that, and then we've got an earth, and then we've got our pickup for signal, and then that goes, we've got our CDI unit there which the signal wire goes to, and then we've got the ignition wire, ignition switch wire and bits and bobs and coil wire. We've got our coil wires goes up there. We've got our voltage regulator for our charging system here. We've got our starter solenoid there, and we've got the battery there tucked away nice and low in the frame and completely protected. I've checked everything, all the clearance is right, so I just need to loom wrap this now. We've got our ignition switch in and our start button, so there, and then I'm going to build the lighting loom tomorrow, and I've got my earth going to here on the engine instead of all the way around the front because it just doesn't need to be there. And so if we turn it on, and then so we got crank, and then if we look down there, there's the spark plug just leaning up there, and we've got a spark as well, so fingers crossed that'll all work. So I'm going to tidy that all up now, mount it in, mount the new carburetor, run the throttle cable, put the airbox and everything on, and then we're going to see if it'll fire. So this is our considerably smaller than yours wiring loom, and it's got everything we need attached, and it's all wrapped up and it's going to do the job. So now I'm going to put it in the bike, and we're going to check to see whether we've got a spark, and if we've got a spark, I'll put the carburetor on. I've got the fuel pipe, I've got all the bits, and I can actually make it run tonight within the next hour. But that's taken me like 6 hours to do, but I hope it's right. Ignition on. Right, that's only half the battle. Plug lead off. Spark plug. Give it a good air. There. You ready?
Ready.
We got a spark.
Bingo. Well done, mate.
Spark, right. That's it, it's all loom wrapped, it's all done, it's all tight. We can tighten up the battery. The cable to this new Nibby slide carburetor, and we're going to put that in. Now there's a lot of differences between this carburetor and the standard Honda one, and I'm not going to go through them in this video because I haven't got the time. I've got to get the bike done, but I will do a separate video all about the wiring loom and the differences in carburetors in the future. But for now it's absolutely pissing down, so I've had to pull the door down in the lockup, but we're going to get it together, so let's do this shit. Let's have another go. Yep. Put the fucking plug lead on, you dickhead.
fucking doing this?
Now I know it runs. I've permanently clipped in all the wiring loom. The airbox is permanently attached. I put the radiator in. I put the hoses on. I blanked off that one for the carburetor and shortened it. I just need to run a top hose up and through because I'm not going to run a thermostat or nothing. So now I've got to sort that. So I'm blasting through it because we've got no time left. So I'll show you what I do once I'm done. Right, so it's 9 o'clock at night. The weather's horrendous. It's all wired up now. When the tank was on, it ran. I piped all the rad in, mounted the rad and all that. The airbox is completely finished. All as I need to do now is the exhaust, service it, this engine, rebuild the brakes, have the wheels off, check the wheel bearings, do the gear in, put the tank on, put the front on, put the seat on and make the wiring loom for the rear rain light. We're getting close. I'm sure there'll be little bits in between, but that's where I'm at. I'm well happy.